All right, as we take a look here, getting ready for the Unit 2 test. Again, our format's taking a little different of a look this time. Tried to get it broken down to you by sections and titles so it'd be easy for you to check either on my YouTube page by just Googling in the title or the section number, or you could do the same thing on my website, going back or looking for old notes and things like that. So hopefully you've looked through this, take a look to see what types of things you need to know. I'm not going to hold back any, try to trick you or anything like that here. So when we're doing this, graph the parabola, graph all the important attributes. Okay, in other words, the most important attribute of a parabola is its vertex. So if I'm in standard form, like we are here in number 1, as we've said time and time again, to find our x value, we're going to do negative b over 2a. So my a value here is negative 1, my b value is 6. So I've got negative 6. 2 times negative 1 is negative 2. So my x value is 3. And then again, to get the y value, I can either plug 3 in each place for x, or I could go to the calculator. Well, I'm going to just go ahead and plug it in. So 3 squared is 9, but there's a negative there, so it would be negative 9. 3 times 6 is 18, plus 1. 19 minus 9 is 10. So my vertex is at 3, 10. Now notice, negative a value means this is opening down. So if some of you like using the pattern that we've been doing, or again, you can type this in the calculator and bring up the chart if you want to look at the numbers that way. Both of them are completely acceptable. But if you're going to use the pattern, we're going to go down 1 and over 1 each way. Down 3 and over 1 each way. And since it's just equals, we're going to go ahead and graph that in there. Now again, it asks for the axis of symmetry, which again is x equals and whatever my vertex x value is. Okay, nothing too complicated. My next one's in vertex form. This is cool. Again, vertex form is the opposite of h and then k. So the opposite of negative 4 is 4. And then I keep my value on the end. So 4, negative 2. My a value, if I saw one here, would be positive. So it's opening up. And I know it's hard to get the second point in, but I'm just going to go ahead and go a little off here. My curve, again, we're not absolute value. These aren't lines, they're curves. Ooh, that's kind of ugly, but that's okay. Focus and directrix, you can use your green sheet. So again, my focus has a little formula to it. It's my vertex h, my x value, and then k plus 1 over 4 times a. So negative 2 plus 1/4. And I don't care if you go to a decimal here. I'm not going to, but it's negative 1 3/4, negative 1.75. And that's how I would find that one. My directrix is just y equals k minus 1 over 4a. Again, found on your green sheet. Not time to go. Some of you wish it might be. So here, it's going to be negative 2 minus 1/4. Negative 2 minus 1/4 is negative 2 1/4, or negative 2.25. And then my axis of symmetry is still going to be at the x value of my vertex. This last one, again, nice. It's in vertex form for me. Good to go with that. My focus, again, I've got my expression here. So for this part, it's going to be negative 5 plus 1 over 4. My a value, my number in front of my squared term, is 2. So 4 times 2 is 8. So this is really negative 5 plus 1/8. Which is negative 4 7/8. My directrix k minus 1 over 4a minus 1/8. Negative 5 1/8. My axis of symmetry, like, dang, I get all this stuff. I don't even have a graph yet. Okay, we'll get our graph too. So negative 3, negative 5. Now some of you are like, you haven't noticed the calculator at all yet. When are you ever going to do it in case I want to do it that way? Well, let's just do it now. I'm still going to talk about how you can do it without it, but we'll do it this way first. Let's get those cleared out. I'll go ahead, I'll get this typed in. So I get here, and again, remember, my vertex x value is negative 3. So negative 3 needs to be in the middle of my chart, because that's the only way I'm going to see my symmetry. So 4, negative 3, get those plotted. Negative 5 is positive 3. Now let me tell you how I could have done this if I wouldn't use the calculator. You know how we've been doing the pattern up 1 and over 1, up 3 and over 1? If there's another coefficient in front, all I have to do is multiply it by that. So like here, my pattern is up 1 over 1, then up 1 over 3, then up 1, then up 3 over, up 1 over 1, up 3 over 1, there we go, up 5 over 1. I just got to multiply this by 2. Up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1. What's 3 times 2? 6. Up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 over 1. So I still can do it that way. I just have to multiply by that a value, and I'm set. So let's see here. Solving by factoring. Solving. Find x. Okay, don't just leave it factored. Don't you do it. Okay. Again, some of these, and I'm not going to do every single one, but I'm going to do a chunk of them here. Multiply to 7, add to negative 8. Again, think about what's there. If it adds to a negative and multiplies to a positive, it tells me they're both negative. 7 and 1. 7 times 1 is 7. Negative 1 and negative 7 is negative 8. But don't stop. Set them equal to 0 and actually figure out what x equals. Okay, that's what you're going to do on number 4 and number 6 and number 8 and number 10. Well, what about some of these other ones? What about these short guys? Do I have to slide and divide? No. Perfect square, perfect square, perfect square, perfect square. I keep saying you got to know your perfect squares. Because you're like, well, okay, so I multiply 8 by itself to get 64, and then x to get x squared. I multiply 5 by itself to get 25. That's all true. So then, I just make my 2 sets of parentheses, put 8x in at the start of each, put 5 in at the end, and what are my signs going to be if I have to multiply to get negative 25? Right, one's positive, one's negative. And then just go ahead, set them equal to 0, and solve them. Okay. And that's how 49 works too, because they're both perfect squares. So you're like, okay. So you said 6 and 10 are like 4 and 8. What about 7 and 11? Oh my gosh, Harty, if I have to slide and divide, that number is going to be huge on the end. But you shouldn't have to. Why not? Look at the first and last numbers. They're both perfect squares, which again, you need to know. Up to 10, you should be able to look at any of those numbers in that list and go, ooh, it's a perfect square. If it's not, what are you waiting for? That's all I can say at this point. 4 squared is 16. 7 squared is 49. But this is different than the difference of squares, because here's how this one works. This is slick. This is like when we're completing the square, actually. I put the 4x first, I put the 7 second, and whatever sign's in the middle tells me what to put in the middle. I don't want to slide and divide that. That's a huge number. That would take forever. So you've got to learn how to recognize some of this. And since there's only one quantity, one set of parentheses to work with, I only get one answer. And 11 works the same way. So again, I've got the key of this online, so if you're looking at this now, good. See how some of them work, try to do them yourself, and then check against the key. Pretty cool idea. So, let me get flipped inside here, see what else we got to deal with. All right, solving by square rooting, another special thing to take note of here. Make sure you get 2 answers. These are plus minus, they're quadratics. That little 2 means something, it means there's 2 answers. My other thing to remind you of, isolate your x term before you square root it. You can't square root number 12 right now. No. You've got to divide both sides by 2 first. You've got to isolate. We've got to take the square root. And I want an exact answer. I don't want 4 point something. That's not exact. You know better than that. We've taught you better than that. We're going to break down the radical. The square root of 9 is 3. It gets out of radical jail. 2 still acting irrationally. It has to stay in. That's what I'm talking about. Isolate. Add the 8 over. I know 4 is a perfect square. Don't square root it yet. Divide by 4. Get it out of there. Can you hear in my voice? I'm pleading with you people to get this done correctly. Get that guy isolated. Break him down. Square root of 4 is 2. The 3 doesn't break down. Be done. If there's parentheses, don't let that get you. They're inverses. They're opposites. I don't even need that parenthesis anymore. Let it be gone. But I still got to break this down. See, if you've been doing these all along, you're becoming an expert where you can start whacking some of this out almost as fast as I do. But if you're just starting now, this is a lot to take on. I'm not going to tell you it isn't. And minus my 8 over, because again, to solve, I got to have x on the side by itself. Can I put these together? No. This has a radical and this doesn't. They can be on the same side, but that's it. Little things. Little things, like on 15, you're all going to want to multiply and get rid of the half first. Don't do it. That half's with my x squared. Get the 3 out first. Now you're allowed to get rid of the fraction. Okay? Always get rid of what's furthest away from x squared first. Pluses or minuses will get taken care of first, then anything you're multiplying by will get taken care of second. And yes, even this breaks down. Square root of 4 is 2. 11 doesn't break down. Okay. And similar to what you did on 14, we're going to do on 16, but look, this isn't on a side by itself yet. Furthest thing away, the plus 1. Get it out of there first. Minus the 1. Is this alone yet? No, then don't square root it yet. I'm multiplying it by 3. We have to divide by 3. Take my square root, because now it's isolated. Can I break down the 5? No, that's okay. It stays under the radical. And then add the 2 over. Add the 2 under the radical? No, this isn't under a radical. And I'm set. Okay, be careful, be careful, be careful. On to our next nemesis. Complex numbers, I. Reminders. I squared equals -1. If you see it, simplify. The other thing, don't multiply if there's a plus or a minus in the middle. Here, again, we talk about it all the time. If it's a negative under there, pull an I out. Then see if what's left's a perfect square if you can break it down. 169 is a perfect square. Notice no plus minus. Why? There's no x squared anywhere. No plus minus to no x squared. The rest of these, all I'm going to say, because I'm not doing all of these, because this is like old school Algebra 1 stuff. If there is plus or minus in the middle, I am not foiling this out. I am finding like terms, and I'm done. So all three of those, straight up serious. The only place you're going to do any multiplying is on 20. You're going to distribute the number that's in front to what's inside the parentheses. Notice I didn't do I times I. There is no I squareds here. Combine the things that are alike. Did I get overly I happy? Yep. Done. The only place I have to multiply for the time being, for instance, is 21. And I'm going to do it here to the side so I can make it bigger. We talked before about getting organized so you don't forget about spots. Whoop, we're off the screen. That's not helping you. If I'm multiplying these, I multiply what's on the sides of the box to get what's on the inside. But again, like we mentioned here, we know what I squared equals. It's -1. So -1 times -48 is really positive 48. So when I go to put things together that are alike, don't multiply those, we're just combining like terms. Okay, I'm done. If you FOIL and you're fine with it, that's fine. But remember, you do not have I squared in any answer because it's simple. You can simplify it. So keep in mind. Our other nemesis from this staring at us is number 22. I can't stress this enough. The only thing you change when you are rationalizing is the sign on I, not the sign on 1. You don't make that negative. This sign gets changed. If it's positive, it goes negative. If it was negative, it would go positive. So up top, I'm just distributing. 6 times 1 is 6. 6 times -4 is -24. Down below, guess what? We're doing a box. Now, we've talked about what happens, though, how this box is kind of special in its own way. Because when I fill it up, by multiplying the edges, you're like, doesn't look real special to me. I squared is -1. Negative times negative. Okay, that's positive. Okay. So what's so special about this? 1 plus 16, 17. The i's, check it out, because we can't have I in the denominator. Negative and positive 4. Bye-bye. That's how we roll. Yeah, your old fogey math teacher just said that's how we roll. So it is. That's how we do it here. All right. And then finally, I'm going to do one of these. I'm not going to do them all. So I look and I go, okay, 23, solve. These look like the ones we just did up above. They are. I'm going to add my 8 over. I'm going to divide by 3. Oh, here's where the change comes. Square root. It's a negative. Don't forget to take the I out. Break down the 24. So plus minus. Square root of 4 is 2. That gets to hang out with I outside. 6 has got to stay on the inside. And that's how we're going to do 24 as well. Story problems. Some of you skip them the minute you see them. Don't do it. Okay? there's the magic word, add. All you have to do, just like we did in our preview activity, find the like terms. Done. No multiplying, no need to understand electricity or circuits or impedance or any of that. Just add the things together they're alike. No worries. Completing the square. Oh gosh, completing the square. That's right, I'm singing the song when I'm doing this, so I'm going to try to write fast enough that I can keep up with myself. So get ready. Plug your ears if you need to. Okay, once I'm sure that my x squared and my x terms are alone, okay, I'm ready to get into this. So again, here we go. So I'm going to have b square half b, and I'm gonna add it here. I'm gonna add it there. Again, have b square half b, add it here, add it there. Okay, that wasn't quite as bad as I thought it was gonna be. So again, once I get that done, I ask myself, okay, I need this to become in its binomial form because now these are perfect squares. What goes in here? Well, either what squared is 16, 4, take the sign in the middle, or just take your half b, okay? It's the nice thing, it's the bonus of doing some side work. 28, now it looks like the problems we were doing up top. Square root, those go. Plus minus, again, squared plus minus 4 and 7. I know, you're like, Harty, you're taking up 27. I'm sorry. 2 square root of 7 and minus my 4 over. The only thing I'm going to tell you for a hint on 27 is, remember, x is only on the left side. If there's something else over here, it needs to move away. And then I can go about my business. So again, 5, 5, you need to go back and look at some stuff again. That's fine. Rewriting it in vertex form. Remember, vertex form. Looks like this. Same concept, just a different way it sets up. Again, now I can't get my x's alone this time. But I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to take my b. I'm going to divide it by 2. So again, here we go again. Half b square half b. Now, changes this time though. Add it here on the left side with y. Add it here on the right side with x. You're like, now why would you do that? Watch this and be amazed. This goes into its binomial form. There's my half b, negative 5. Oh, it's starting to look like this, and all I got to do now is to minus the 25 to get y by itself. Boom! Show the steps. You've got this, people. I've seen so much improvement for some of you through this unit, and I'm hoping it's going to pay for you on this test, but we got to finish off some things here. Okay, let's see how we can keep going here. Completing the square again. Remember, x's have the life of their own, y's have a life of their own. Complete the square for both. Do a little work up here. Half b square half b. Add it here with my x's. Add it here on the other side of my equation, because whatever you do to one side of the equation, we have to do to both to keep balance. It's okay, this is the last completing the square, so it's the last time you're going to have to hear me sing, so you're going to survive. Here we go, one more time. Half b square half b. Add it here. Add it there. Because now I have a perfect square trinomial. Steal the -1. I have a perfect square trinomial. Steal the +3. Equals 9. Don't forget the last part of the question. The center is at 1, -3, because it's opposite with a circle. My radius is the square root of this. And work that. You're like, okay, we're starting to make some progress here. Let's keep it rolling. Quadratics. Oh gosh. Okay, here's my rectangle. Area is length times width. Area equals length times width. I'm going to have to factor this. So I distribute. When we're factoring, everybody wants to hang out with x squared because that's the place to be. He's not the square of the party, he's the life of the party. So we minus the 117 over. And then the gnashing of teeth starts. Oh, I got to factor that. Wait a minute. If I got to factor that, that means I got to swing the 2 down here. Holy crap, Harty, 234 is going to take me like the rest of my natural life to be able to figure out. No, it's not. I'll prove it. Okay, 234. I need to start figuring out factors of 234. So, okay, divided by 2. Somebody timing me when I'm doing this. I'm timing myself. 230 by 3. Okay, 3 and 78. I'm trying to get 5 apart. I ain't there yet. I'm not even close. 234 divided by 4. 234. 5 ain't going to work because it's not divisible by 5. 6 and 39. I'm getting closer. 234 divided by 8. 234 divided by, oops, I forgot 7. 234, oh my gosh, Harty, I'm going to flip. This is why knowing some of your multiplication facts and things like that is so important, because then you're not having to put yourself through all of this. But I made it. 13 and 18 are 5 apart. -5, negative number needs to be the bigger one. Now don't make it all this way far and then forget the last part. We did slide and divide. We didn't just do slide. So I look and I'm like, okay, x minus 9. 13 over 2 doesn't reduce. I put it in. I got to figure out what x equals now. I got to set them equal to 0. X equals 9. X equals -6.5. Which one doesn't make sense to be the side of a rectangle? A negative, that's dumb. X is 9. 2 times 9 is 18. Minus 5 is 13. There's the dimensions. You can do this. I'm telling you. You've got this. You've got this. You've got this. Mike throws a ball upward. We give you the equation. You're not going to have to memorize that. Woo! What was the initial velocity of the ball? 45. What's the maximum height, y vertex, and the time, x vertex? Did I find this? Vertex. This is like the 123rd time that we've said this over this unit. -b over 2a. If we can't figure that out at this point, you have not been paying any attention whatsoever. The opposite of b over 2 times -16. Ew. This isn't going to be fun. This is why we have a calculator. -45 divided by -32. Oh, Harty. 1.41 seconds. And again, this is just me. I don't want to do the fancy stuff in the calculator because that's just kind of ridiculous when I can take care of this myself. So I'm just going to plug in once I plug in the right value, right? You're like, yeah. That's much better. .49 feet. Let me make sure I typed in everything right. Yes. No! God blessed, why didn't somebody tell me before I got to the end? They're like, we tried. You weren't listening. Oh, that's right. I'm in a room by myself right now doing this, so there's nobody here to yell at me, really. All right, let's get this number in here right this time. That's better. 39.64 feet. Okay. And again, complete the table to show the times. All right, let's finish this one up. I will go to the calculator on this one to keep life a little bit simpler on us. Go to the chart. Get my values of 8, 37, and 34. Find the average rate of change. Slope. X values, Y values. Slope is difference of Y over difference in X. My X's are 2 minus 1. My Y's are 34 and 37. And if you went 37 minus 34, then you'd have to do 1 minus 2. But you'll get the same answer. And I get, oops, and I get my average rate of change. Okay. All right, so we head to the back. I am actually seeing that I am running out of video space, so I'm going to chunk this into 2 parts. The second part here, which is the last page of the video, will be in the next one. So if you've been watching, just wait for the next one and you'll be ready to roll.